Like the veterans we salute today, thanks to John Basiliga, John Lockman, Sayersville, Joseph Casaro, Stroudsburg, but he was from Carbondale, Raymond McGillicott, Wilkes-Barre, Dale Henry, Taylor, Robert Leventhal, Carbondale, and Chuck Jolene, Berwick. The United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our incredible founding fathers, that the government is not, shall not be, cannot be our parent, our guide, our direction, our salvation, not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. It's not something to be parceled out to groups. It's not something to be controlled by government or government officials. Our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press. I'll tell you why we got to put up with that, but it ain't good for the moment. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because they had them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show, it will always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so, we gavel to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you a sanctuary of sanity which is much needed for the balance of the morning. Brian Wilson passed away at age 82 and left a tremendous legacy behind. Tremendous legacy. I think of the California that the Beach Boys represented, and then I see the California that has become under the idiocy of left-wing lunatics coming across our screens. My word. Mostly peaceful, though. Mostly peaceful. Yeah. All funded by left-wing billionaires. All coordinated. And then I get my newspapers this morning, the rags. Let me see if the third rag, yesterday's news, does it. Yeah. Same, this is headline. Okay, and it's an Associated Press story, naturally. Celebration or embarrassment? Now, we have a 250th celebration of our Army that has done so much for this country, whose members over the years have been the fabric of this country. How could a parade honoring their 250th be an embarrassment? I said this. You better go check yourself. If you're upset with a military parade, and idiot Gavin Newsom said the same thing, you know your thinking is perverted. I saw this headline. I still can't believe it as I even hold the newspapers. In addition to no content, the things they go with are so insane and lame-brained. We have 250 years of sacrifice is being honored Saturday. But because Donald Trump did it, they're so mentally ill that they actually put that kind of headline on 3 of their newspapers. These are sick people. These are mentally ill people running your Scranton Times, Citizens Voice, and Hazleton Standard Speaker. They're actually mentally ill. I don't even know what to say. Whew. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. Yeah, we go from the Beach Boys to Gavin Newsom. Wow. That's a scary transformation. And we go from real newspapers to this, whatever this is. A disgrace. All right. On that sad note, let's go to a better note, which is our great sponsors. A little history, a little music, and then we'll come back and we'll recover. I promise. Ricky Nelson. Murph says he had the number one hit. This date, 1961, Traveling Man. By the way, we started off with Goodfellas. What was that? 1970? Bulldog. Look it up. It is the anniversary, June 11th. I think it was 1970 when they whacked Billy Bats. Goodfellas, commemorating the act. In any event, we're not celebrating it; we're commemorating it, and somehow the movie made it funny. They made murder funny. They just did. Sorry. So we've got multiple billionaires funding this lunacy. And we've got the Democrat Party in full support. And by the way, your tax dollars are funding the riots, the looting, the burning in Los Angeles. Your tax dollars. Flowing through the state of California, flowing through a group called Act Blue, which is one of the NGOs, the $1 trillion a year in NGOs who receive your tax money in order to pursue a left-wing lunatic and establishment agenda. It's unreal. There's another guy, not just Christy Walton. Now, she married into the Walmart family, the Waltons, and she's using her late husband's money, it ain't hers, to do this. Then there's another billionaire, some kind of software company. A number of you sent that information to me. And he's another funder of this insanity. It is unbelievable. And then these idiots are going to get together Saturday. There's a text held over from the last show that the Susquehanna County Democrats will be on the Halstead Bridge. Now, the level of stupidity, and I'm so sorry for you, someone needs to go there and make sure they don't fall off the bridge. Because they've got such a skewed sense of reality, fact, and they don't understand truth. They're going to be protesting Saturday. It's insane. How do they come up with this stuff? And this is a good thing? Protesting for criminal illegal aliens. I'm telling you that in Los Angeles, if somebody threw a cinder block at a cop or at a cop car, they should have their hands smashed with a sledgehammer. This is out of control. These people are mentally ill. They should be committed. And now the little junior left-wingers are going to have their little protests around our area on Saturday, lying about everything or being too stupid to know the truth. I don't know which. Probably a combination of both. Man, that's sad. And then you have a local rag newspapers questioning, is it a celebration of the Army or an embarrassment to have a parade for the Army? We are at a point, and by the way, it's always darkest before dawn. I've said this many times. These people, this agenda, this sick, twisted lunacy it's not been squashed. They're still doing it. And the useful idiots that are tagging along, because they don't like Trump, I'm not even, there's no sense to it. Literally no sense to it. So the National Guard shows up, at Trump's behest. He knows the idiots aren't going to ask for it. Unfortunately, the truth was spilled by the police chief of Los Angeles when he said, "We're overwhelmed. We can't handle this." A moment of truth in a press conference. So Trump does the right thing. He gets some National Guard there. Unlike Nancy Pelosi, who didn't do it on January 6th, who, in fact, prevented the National Guard from allowing those clowns to go in the Capitol. Well, maybe they weren't clowns, but clowns that were acting like fools on January 6th. Now, it's a remarkable thing. And these idiots are going to be protesting what exactly? A 7% increase in Medicaid? What are you protesting? You're protesting to kick illegal criminals out of the country? That's what we're protesting? I really want to know. I got to try to figure this out. I'm gobsmacked by it. I don't understand it. Yeah, somebody texted in exactly. These Democrat freaks are way out of control. And John Fetterman, again, is the only voice of reason in the entire Democrat Party. Wow. If you're a Democrat, I would be running from that party, not walking away from it. I'd be running away from it. They are sick. Well, let's go to every time we do talk about something disgusting, we've got to go to something great, which is our sponsors, and then the Veterans Tribute, and then the weather, which is a good report, at least for today. We'll do all of that when we come back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Our veterans this hour and every hour. This day and every day brought to you by John Basiliga, Basiliga Hospitality. Cutie and I had the great pleasure of going to a wine dinner at Terra 519 last night. It was just beautiful, great people, great evening, absolutely great. That's just one of the places you can go to enjoy Basiliga hospitality. John Lockman. He was 77 when he passed away April 26th. He was from Sawyersville. Born in Kingston, graduate of Luzerne High School, class of 66. He attended ETC in Philadelphia and then LCCC, earning an associate's degree. Upon graduation from there, he was drafted in the U.S. Army, where he completed basic training, Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and Fort Gordon, Georgia. He was stationed in Hoechst, Germany, and then was transferred to Vietnam, where he was awarded a Bronze Star. That's a big deal. He worked various jobs on returning home, but then began working for us at the VA Medical Center, Wilkes-Barre, retiring in 2013. Preceded in death by his wife, Lillian, but surviving are his sons, Timothy and Ralph Lockman. John Lockman. Joseph Casaro. He died May 4th. He was from Stroudsburg at the time, 81 years old, but he was born in Carbondale. He's survived by his wife, the former Carol Gill. They were married in 1972. Born in Carbondale, graduate of the great Benjamin Franklin High School in that city. He worked for his family business, Casaro Manufacturing, in Carbondale. It closed in 1994. That's where he met his wife, Carol. And then later, they owned and operated Antoinette's Restaurant in Carbondale for 10 years before they retired to Florida. He served us in the Pennsylvania Army National Guard, former member of Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church, Carbondale, the Carbondale chapter of Unico. He's survived by 4 children, 7 grandchildren, and many other family members. Joseph Casaro. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by Basiliga Hospitality. As we start looking at the weekend, gives you options galore. Storm Tracker 16 forecast, meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, partly to mostly sunny, 85. Tonight, partly cloudy, 57. Friday, partly sunny with a chance of showers, 82. All right, let's see what's going on the weekend. Saturday, clouds and breaks of sun with a chance of showers. Well, that's not so bad. 75 Saturday. Sunday, Father's Day, clouds and breaks of sun with a chance of showers, 75. Okay, it's passable. Somebody said, I firmly believe John Fetterman should be the next president. He actually voices opinions and votes on legislation with an independent mind. No, he does not. See, that's where you're wrong. That's Pat Padden in Manuka. He does not vote independently. He speaks independently. He does not vote independently. He votes with the lunatics every single time. Don't be fooled by a wolf in a sheep's hoodie. No. He is a goofy Marxist who occasionally makes sense since he had his stroke. That's as far as you can go. Now, come on, Pat. It's quite amazing. Somebody said, Bob, what are we up against? This is unbelievable. I hope our God will take a hand in this for the sake of our country. No, he's leaving this to us. And think of all we have to do. We have to survive these stupid people and the evil people that are amongst them. So it's evil in the midst of stupidity. The listener continues, when did it become okay to steal, kill, harm, and destroy your own city? God, please bless Trump and his agenda. This would never happen with a strong governor or mayor in charge. No, not of any of these places. They would slam it down hard. And that's Mountaintop checking in. Yeah, I'm angry about it too. And then I got to look at the newspaper. I don't even have to open it up to see the stupid, possibly evil people behind these newspapers, our local rags. So I remember this mentality, though. It's always been with us. The problem is we let them take charge of a political party. But these people that run the Democrat Party, that are their elected officials, I want you to think of the level of stupidity, chicanery, evil that emanates from them. These are the same people and the same types of people. I don't care what you thought about Vietnam. It was a stupid war. It was the wrong thing to do. Lyndon Johnson was evil. But they spit on our troops, called them baby killers, the Jane Fonda types of the world. That's what they did. They blamed the soldiers. Again, it goes back to stupidity mixed with evil. And now again, we've got the same idiocy, disgusting idiocy, in our very newspapers. Is a military parade honoring the 250th anniversary of our Army, the United States Army. Is it a celebration or embarrassment? And the Associated Press, I'm sure they scoured far and wide to get a veteran or veterans who are as goofy as they are. It's insane. By the way, back on a good note, Joe Casaro, who we just talked about as one of our veterans, he had Casaro Urim Printing, a great guy and a citizen and great citizen. R.I.P. Rest in peace, Joe Casaro. Yeah, think of so this mentality's always been with us, and I'm going back to let's think of our veterans, let's think of our military, particularly as we're on the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army. Think of the sacrifices made. Watch Band of Brothers. Watch any of the great war movies. Realize what they sacrificed, and all we have to do is to vocally defend common sense. And then to go and vote common sense and convince all those worthy of convincing to do the same. That's all we have to do. That's the sacrifice we have to make to save this country and, in effect, the world from these people. They had their run in the Obama administration and on steroids in the sickening, disgusting Biden administration. And they're not going away, guys. That's why we can't go to sleep. That's why we have to redouble our efforts. Do you realize, just think of it, I think the number was 1 million gun owners were not registered. And if half of them loved their guns, which would be taken away by an unfettered Democrat Party, regardless of the Constitution, they weren't even registered to vote. We don't even know what percentage voted of people who have real stake in the game. So we've got our work cut out for us. These midterms are going to be huge. They're going to be huge because we need 4 years of aggressive normalcy to try to start restoring this country. They don't even know they're wrong. That's how sick they are. Whether it's Harvard University or the state of California, we got a lot of work to do. Lots of work to do. Yeah, my opinion of the lefties, it's like the toothpaste story, one of the listeners says. When the toothpaste is out of the tube, it's very hard to put it back in. Well, they're out of the tube, baby. They are completely out of it. Someone, please save the dumbbells who are going to protest on Halstead Bridge this weekend from falling off of that bridge. Save them. They could get hit by a truck because they don't see reality. They don't get it. On that note, we take this break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. More to come. You know that. Can you get a much better song than that? Murph tells us Ben E. King. He moved up to number 4 this date, 1961. Stand by me. Bob Cordaro back with you on WILK. Yeah, see, here's the problem with the left that owns the Democrat Party. Now, you could disagree that whether to send the National Guard in. You could disagree on that. Well, no, we got it handled. It's covered. But you can't disagree, like, by reality. See, this is the difference now. You can't disagree with reality that there's chaos, there's violence, there's incredible disrespect, and very dangerous circumstances for the citizens of this country over the Los Angeles protests. Now, see, that's indisputable. They were not peaceful. Nobody could say that with any level of knowledge or honesty. Now, then you could say, well, look at Chips and the Los Angeles police have it under control. Now, that's a sort of a dumb thing to say when the police chief's saying we're overwhelmed and we don't have it under control. But I'll even give them that. In a tainted view, in a left-wing view, you could do that. But you can't disagree. That's why I always say, when we're looking at these issues with these people, don't argue on their ground. Because they always change the story. So remember what they've got to do to say Trump did something wrong by having the National Guard in. Number one, he embarrassed them all because they were never calling them, and they were going to let their supporters run roughshod over one of the greatest cities this country has because they're that stupid and incompetent. And I specifically mean Mayor Bass and Governor Newsom. They're that. But what they do and what the Democrat Party's doing, I'm watching, you can repeat it over. Oh, well, these are mostly peaceful. See, as soon as they've got to change the argument because they know they're wrong. Just like Saturday's parade. They've got to pretend or imply that it's some sort of military takeover of the country. Now, think how sick and stupid you have to be to think that. So, that's how you then say, is it a celebration or an embarrassment? How could displaying and revering this country's military be an embarrassment unless you're a sick, twisted, maybe evil person? Unless you hate this country. There it is. It's on the front page of the Scranton Times-Tribune. It's on the front page of the Citizen's Voice. Hatred for this country. Their columns, their editorials, hatred for the country. Citizen's Voice, Standard Speaker. This horrible company that took it over. I mean, at least when the Lynott family owned the paper, somebody local owned the paper. They had real stake in the game. So if they did something stupid, supported somebody awful, they had to deal with it too. These people do not. And they fired and laid off a great many good people from that newspaper. It's amazing. These people are scary people. That, by the way, again, I go back. The only thing we're being called upon to do is to talk common sense. And by the way, that's why the conversation has switched to migrants, not illegal immigrants, because they've got to change the reality. And you can only try to do that by starting with the language. Illegal immigrants out of the country. Illegal immigrants who are by and large criminals or are hanging around criminal illegal immigrants. That's who's getting kicked out of the country. And somehow that's wrong. Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Yeah, Body Shop guy says, did you hear that disgusting hag Pelosi saying how it was wrong for Trump to call out the guard when he wouldn't call them out on January 6th? And she was the one that turned it down? And there's proof of it out of her own mouth. Wow. Scary people. You know it. We'll be back. It's news time, but let's listen to a little bit more of this. Surfer Girl. Murph says this date, 1963, the Beach Boys recorded Surfer Girl at Western Recorder Studios, Hollywood, California. Man, we went from the Beach Boys to this? Wow. Somebody texted into me, you are an embarrassment to your profession. I'm not sure what my profession is. I don't call this a real job. I don't call it a profession. I don't know. Anyway, proud. If I'm an embarrassment in your eyes, I can only imagine what you think about a lot of other things. We'll take this break for the news. Brian Hughes has it. Then we'll come back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Great good morning, everyone. 10:06 a.m. here in the great Northeast this beautiful Thursday, June 12th, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he. And it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values. And with the help and sponsorship of our man John Basiliga and his great restaurants, bars, movie theaters called Basiliga Hospitality, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like Dale Henry of Taylor, Raymond McGillicott, Hanover Township, Robert Leventhal, originally from Carbondale, but then Lake Sheridan, Charles Chuck Jolene, Berwick, John Lockman, Sawyersville, and Joseph Casaro, late of Stroudsburg, but from Carbondale. Veterans we lost this year, but celebrate today. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense after the brief news adjournment. Yeah, it's an aggravating thought that people are intentionally this stupid. It's quite something. Tenor Jim from Wilkes-Barre says, Bob, it's called the National Guard, not the California Guard. By law, the President of the United States can order its placement to protect lives, property, and quell violence. You know it. Gavin Newsom going to court again, even though he lost the first time. And he might find the wrong, or should we say, the right lunatic judge for him to step in there. Do you see? And it's the thing about the left and today's Democrat Party. They don't care about you. They don't care about working class people. They don't care about Americans. We talked about it yesterday, and it's painfully obvious. They're more concerned with the criminal than the victim of crime. They're more concerned with the illegal immigrant, including criminals, than they are with the American citizens that they're sworn to represent. It's quite astonishing. They are more inclined, well, they totally support unlimited wasteful spending as opposed to saving our economy by ending federal deficits and reducing or at least maintaining the federal debt. They're against American jobs. This inflation nonsense continues. And by the way, they're proven wrong, and then they're proven wrong again, and they're proven wrong again. And again, it doesn't matter if it's on climate change. It doesn't matter what the issue is. And they just keep coming as though they were never wrong in the first place. So in the Scranton Rag, I've got to read this. The council president apologizing for not stopping derogatory remarks. Scranton City Council President Gerald Smurl. And by the way, I bring up local politics only when it's emblematic and illustrative of the larger problem. So these are the Scranton Democrats. Just as bad as the National Democrats. The three blind mice on the council. Smurl, King, and the doctor. Now, he's apologizing. Bob Bolus, who was on the air the other day, he says it's illegal to have the rainbow flag flying at City Hall for Pride Month. And other comments Bolus made directed at pro-LGBTQ resident Angela Ramon, who was in attendance at the meeting. Now, what is he apologizing for? I don't understand. I don't understand. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I can't quite get what in God's name these people do. The three blind mice on city council just go along with the mayor's. They ignore that she's lied to them repeatedly about so many things, including the pool at Naog. They're classic blind mice. They truly are. And I want to read just a little further. The events also resulted, meaning Bob Bolus's comments, I guess, in several other residents attending Tuesday's council meeting to express support for LGBTQ people and condemn hate speech. What did he say? He said it's illegal to have the flag flying. Well, that'll be proved in court or not proved in court. I don't know what's offensive about that. I truly don't. If you agree with him, and I have no problem with the pride flag flying. Literally no problem. I don't care. I don't think it's important. And if it's important to members of that persuasion, fine. The Jessica Rothschild, okay, one of the three blind mice, calls herself a doctor. It's a great way to have the LGBTQ community feel welcome and part of the city. Who's making them feel unwelcome and not part of the city? Until you shove it in everybody's face. And now I'm trying to think who says, I can't even see who says this. Oh, resident Jessica McGuigan. She says, when someone stands at this podium and spews dehumanizing rhetoric, and it's met with a thank you or no response at all, it sends a message that hate has a place here. Silence is not neutrality. It comes off as complicity. Oh, so in other words, if they say something you don't want to hear, if somebody comes up and says something you don't agree with, it has to be opposed by the three blind mice. Right on top of it. And so this fool Smurl apologizes for not having what? Stepped in or what? I don't even understand these people anymore. Somebody says Bob Bolus didn't say anything hate related. I watched the whole meeting. They're lying again to keep the story alive. Well, it's in this paper. It's in the paper that's calling a salute to the Army on its 250th anniversary an embarrassment. That's how bad it is. Let's go to John from Back Mountain. Hey, John.
What's going on?
Everything every day, my man.
Yeah, I go back to that article. I was 16 years old when this country turned 200 years old, and it was a marketing campaign for the bicentennial celebration.
Mm-hmm.
They could pull out that article next year and run it. You know, just the difference in opinions people have of this country, the most diverse, influential, and stupidest country on this earth. And just to roll into next year, I just want to see what's going to go on.
I think because Trump's in charge of it, they're going to oppose it. And by the way, many of these people actually hate this country. They hate it.
No kidding. No kidding. Yeah. But just the spirit, you know, back in 1976 or whatever, and This was a different place, it seemed to me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the lunatics have been given the opportunity to run the asylum, and in the form of many mayors, many governors, district attorneys, and others who are just idiots. And now they've got that taste of power. They've got that bone in their mouth, and they're not going to give it up. And they will espouse anything they have to stay in power.
They're so open-minded, their brains fell out.
Scary. We've got to actually help these people. I said they're going to have some kind of protest in the Halstead Bridge up in Susquehanna County, and I'm thinking to myself, somebody better be there to help them. It's like people on an acid trip. When they used to take acid trips back in the day, they'd always have somebody with them to make sure they didn't hurt themselves. That's basically what you got to do with some of these people.
You know what Geisinger started out as? A psychiatric hospital.
Which did?
The founders of it. And
yeah.
We need some psychiatric care for a lot of people around here. Mental health is good health.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, you just think of where they come from. And all right, I'm going to spend my afternoon, and there are protests in this area as well. It's, in Susquehanna, as I mentioned, but also I think Lackawanna County Courthouse Square, Luzerne County Public Square, and they're going to protest based on an obvious, provable lie. And it's like, what are you doing? Who are you protesting? You're going to spend time of your life and get yourself all in a lather over a lie, over a pack of lies, over people who are insane that you support. What does that make you? I fear for these people.
I had a neighbor from years ago. They were originally from Germany, and they were protesting in Stuttgart over what was going on in this country during the Summer of Love and COVID.
And the entire Summer of Love was based on a lie. That there was a racial murder by a cop to a normal citizen. No, it was a avowed, continuous criminal and a guy who was in the process of committing a crime while stuffing fentanyl in his mouth. And he killed himself. And that's what the whole summer was about. Think of these people. Scary.
Yes, sir, Bob. I could say a lot more, but I'm reminiscing back in the days of 1976. There was a radio station called WYZZ, and they were a great radio station for this valley. And I remember just the coverage. It was bicentennial, celebrating that, and all this kind of stuff. They played the opera from New York, brought to you by Texaco, in quadraphonic sound. And that station has sadly passed away.
What's the number, if you remember?
I remember the number. It was WYZZ. They were like the first to broadcast in quadraphonic. They had
so it was FM or?
Yeah. It was very high fidelity. It was owned by the Evans family in Wilkes-Barre. Up on Penobscot Knob, they had a microwave link up to that, and they fought other radio stations' interference and stuff. They're way ahead of the game, and they're just gone.
Well, we're still standing, so at least some of these shows will be representative of normalcy. I promise you that, John.
They basically broadcast classical music and oldies and stuff like that, DJs and stuff. It was a family business, was what it was.
Yeah, that was the old days, I know.
But I want you to have a great whatever kind of day.
I will. I promise you I will, John. Thank you.
Be good.
All right, my man. Yeah, somebody texts in, Bob, as a gay man, I have no problem with the pride flag flying at City Hall. My problem is they do it for the wrong reason. And let's see, I want to see if it's the same person. Yes. Most gay men don't care about the pride flag. They care about the American flag. Should we have straight month? If I overemphasize my being a heterosexual woman and shove it down people's throats, I'm a pervert or a slut. I know what you mean. And I get the majority-minority thing. and gays in particular, the transgender movement is something totally different in my mind. But gays had to fight, and they had to protest for validity for forever. I mean, you got to remember, it was a crime to be gay. It was a crime. And they had a true battle on their hands to be able to marry, to be able to do a lot of things. And I don't know how, and look, I'm not in the process. I don't talk politics off of the show. I really don't. If somebody brings it up, I may talk about it. I may not. I mean, I do it for 15 hours a week, and I study it for another 40. So I've had enough by the time I'm, at one of John Basiliga's places. But the gays, I'd love to know what gay people think about being lumped in with this whole thing. I don't get it. It's completely different. And again, for the transgender, I believe that there's gender dysphoria. I believe it. How you react to it is your decision when you're an adult, not before. Before that, all the compassion in the world, all the understanding, all the support in the world for you. But you don't get special privileges because you've got this problem. You just don't. You don't get to go in the opposite sex bathroom. You don't get to go in the opposite sex sports, participate, and go in their locker room. You just don't get to do that. Where we got to this, how we got to this point with these left-wing lunatics, I don't know. All right, we're going to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Frank is on the line about the parade. Frank, I don't think I'm going to take your call today. No. I just don't think we're going to do it. But, if you want to hang on, you hang on. I doubt I'm going to do it. But we'll take this break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be back. The Birds. Murph tells us this date, 1965. They moved from number 17 to number 6 with their version of Bob Dylan's Tambourine Man. And then the incredible Anne Frank. And we've got Americans supporting the new Nazis. Islamist radicals, terrorists, embodied by Hamas. We've got gay people protesting on behalf of people who would kill them. The lunacy of it all is scary, but man, the courage of that young girl, and thank God we have those diaries. Thank God. Because these same fools would deny that the Holocaust happened. It's about 5 million people of all stripes, including those with disabilities, mentally retarded, all of that, killed by Hitler's regime, and then 6 million Jews killed because they were Jews, including Anne Frank. Max from Dixon City. Hi, Max. How are you, man?
How you doing? Yeah, and you, before you left the air for that commercial, you said, you were frazzled. It doesn't add up. Nothing the left does adds up. So let's take a hard look at that for a reason. Okay, it's not by accident. Do you think that this was all this past 5 years since 2020? That this was all designed, this whole woke thing, kneeling in the national anthem, the Carmelo Anthony releasing him. I mean, everything that was illogical that took place was just to piss off evangelicals, true patriots, conservatives, to the point where they break and they have an excuse to implement whatever plan that they have, whether it to be complete takeover, collapse this republic, all by design, just to get people to the point of, hey, we had enough.
By the left-wing puppet masters, yes, without a doubt.
Yes.
But you got to remember, the vast amount of people, you take the people are there for a paycheck, basically, protesting now and this weekend.
They are, yeah.
And then you've got useful idiots. Those are the ones I can't understand or explain.
Well, throughout history, Bob, I mean, it's been proven that most communists, socialists, they really care. They're so brainwashed they care about the end result, and they think it's going to be like a Marxist utopia.
Yeah.
It never is. But they're always the first to go. They're in a Marxist takeover. They're always the first to die at the end because they're the ones that believe in it, and the people that take over, they're like, no, we're taking over. You can't be trusted. Boom, you're gone. They're the first to go. It's historical.
I know.
So what we're seeing now, the illogic, just the rampant stupidity, it's all by design. We have to just sit down and say, okay, we know who you are. You are telling us who you are. If it gets to the point this weekend where you have these Democrat governors, DAs, and the whole judiciary, the people in charge basically of these rogue, I call them rogue cities, these sanctuary cities, if they go against Trump's mandates, if they go against the law of the land, the Constitution, and they deny, they are guilty of treason and sedition. And at that point, there are grounds for an uprising and or I'm not going to say civil war because there's been like a soft uprising in the past. It gets to that point when the Democrats put themselves in this situation, and it's by design. I think they want war. I think they lost the election. They know that they're done now. They're going to lose all those seats when the illegals leave these states, to retain power. Once they realize that's gone, I think the only thing they realize now is violence. Because that's been the blueprint since day one,
and it has been with leftists throughout history. You are correct, Max. You're
it's
correct.
a harrowing thought.
And
this,
it's the
this weekend.
Soroses. It's
Right.
it's this Cindy Walton. It's this. I forget. I got to get his name in my my mind. The guy who's primarily supporting the L.A. riots right now. It's a bunch of wealthy left wingers.
Yes.
Who are fomenting this. To what design? Is it merely for guilt? Are they that stupid? It is possible. But man, they're scary people either way.
It's by design. And those masks that they're handing out from Walmart, they're like $35 masks.
Mm-hmm.
Those are Walmart brand. And it's the woman, it's the owners of Walmart that are supporting.
Well, she doesn't have anything to do with the ownership. She just married into it. I'm not going to give her credit. She inherited her money by marrying it. And she's that'll give
dangerous.
You her idiocy. Max, we got to go, my man. But
sure thing.
Yeah, but
thing.
always
Thank
a
you
pleasure.
for what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate it. We got to go. We got to take a break. We want to hear from our great sponsors. We've got a veterans tribute to do. We've got more calls to get to. Bob Cordaro on WILK. We'll be back. Our veterans this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by John Basiliga. And let's talk about one of his great companies, Basiliga Hospitality. Thoroughly enjoyable night last night at a wine dinner at a Terra 519. But you could also go to the Old Brook Inn, Springbrook Township, Route 307, the Far Street Tavern, the reimagined neighborhood bar. You want to go to a nightclub? Sergei's, right at 519 Linden Street, downtown Scranton, the nightclub in Northeast Pennsylvania. You want to catch a movie? Scranton Art House. The only place you could have a cocktail and your favorite food while watching a great movie. Better than home, because you don't have to clean up. Queen City Tavern, reopened, better than ever, and easy to get to right in downtown Oliphant. Great food, great atmosphere, the whole package, Queen City Tavern. The Stegmeyer Mansion, fine dining like it used to be. A different era, a different feel, a different vibe. at the Mary Stegmeyer Mansion, South Franklin Street, Wilkes-Barre. Dale Henry. He was from Taylor. He was only 72 when we lost him, April 27th. He's survived by his daughters, 6 grandchildren, and his siblings. Dale was a proud Marine, devoted public servant, beloved father, and pillar of the community. He answered the call of duty early in life by enlisting in the United States Marine Corps. He served with honor and forged a lifelong commitment to discipline and country. After his military service, Dale dedicated more than 3 decades to his work at the unemployment office, offering support and hope to those navigating difficult times. Beyond his professional life, his heart belonged to his community. He was the president of Scranton Liederkrantz, helping to preserve traditions of German American heritage. And what a great heritage it is. He never sought recognition, but those that knew him understood the depth of his compassion. Proud father of those 3 daughters. He'll be greatly missed, Dale Henry. Raymond McGillicuddy, affectionately known as Rainbow. He was from Hanover Township. He passed away May 4th at age 95. He proudly served his country in both the United States Navy and the United States Army during the Korean conflict. He received a Purple Heart, Korean Service Medal with Bronze Stars, Army Occupation Medal, the Combat Infantryman Badge, National Defense Service Medal. His dedication to country and his bravery during one of history's most challenging conflicts will never be forgotten. He was a dedicated and hard-working member of the Hanover Township Road Department, former member of the former Holy Family Church in Sugar Notch. He was also deeply involved in Hanover Township's fire service in a number of capacities and a number of groups. Raymond's leadership and passion for public service left a lasting impact on the community, whether in the firehouse, at the church bazaar, or on the road as a driver. He was a figure of strength, compassion, dedication. He was preceded in death by his beloved wife, survived now by his fiancée, Dorothy Zakruski, his daughter, step-siblings, and other family members and friends. Raymond McGillicuddy, our great veterans this hour. Brought to you by Basiliga Hospitality. Take in one of his great places this weekend. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, partly to mostly sunny, 85. Tonight, partly cloudy, 57. Friday, partly sunny with a chance of showers, 82. Saturday, clouds and breaks of sun with a chance of showers, 75. Sunday, Father's Day, clouds and breaks of sun with a chance of showers, 75. Okay. Not bad, right? Hey, the Rotary Club up in the Abingtons, they've got this incredible fireworks display they do every year. And Steve is on the line to talk more about it. He's the president of the Abington Rotary Club. How are you, my man?
How are you, Bob?
I'm great. Even better now that I'm thinking about 4th of July and that great Rotary Club and its fireworks display.
It's really unbelievable to think that it is almost the 4th of July. I feel like it is still January.
I
know. What are you going to do?
I know. Talk to us. Tell us all about it.
All right. This year we have our 4th of July fireworks being held on the 3rd of July. Doors open at 5 p.m. It's at the Abington Heights Middle School. It's 1555 Newton Ransom Boulevard. Cost is $10 per vehicle. We're going to have a ton of food trucks this year. I think we have about 15 to 20 vendors lined up. Some of them are going to be Manning's, the Smash Hut. We've got the Wicked Pizza Lobster Company. We've got Hooked on State Street. We have got Lupo Rosso Wood-Fired Pizza, a ton more, face painting, balloon animals, you name it.
Neat. It really is a huge family event. for anybody
Yeah.
to participate in. Bring your
It is
blanket,
wonderful.
and that's all you need. Bring your blanket, and that's it.
It's wonderful. I mean, we see families that year over year. I know I have gone since I was a small kid. You know, it's really great to see the community all kind of roll out for something so wonderful, and especially a nice celebration of the day. So,
Steve, how many years has the Rotary been doing this?
we are 40, 41, something like that. I don't have the exact year, but
Wow.
it's up there. It's quite a bit. I
Isn't
know
that
it's one of
great?
the older ones in the area.
That's just great. These Rotary clubs, people underestimate the quiet good work that you all do. And actually, it's good that you're doing fireworks because we need to be a little loud about everything that Rotary does, right?
Well, they will certainly be loud.
At least once a year. Thank you, Steve. I look forward to talking to you. We'll remind everybody of this next week at some point.
Very good.
All right, my friend. Thank you.
We'll talk to you again, Bob. Thank you.
All right. July 3rd, Abington Middle School, Newton Ransom Road. As darkness descends, fireworks by the great Abington Rotary Club. We'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be back after a couple of messages, which are essential, not only so I get paid, but so that you know where to go. We'll be back. The Rolling Stones, Murph tells us on this date, 1965, they released their iconic hit, I Can't Get No Satisfaction. And yes, that is Murph behind the bar at Ragnacci's. It's the Murph, the original. And now, when someone wants to talk about structural racism, we had it in this country. It's undeniable. Now think of this. This is within my lifetime, maybe many of yours. Interracial marriages were outlawed until this date, 1967, in at least 16 states. And that's crazy. In the case appropriately called Loving versus Virginia. How about that? For, I guess, serendipity. We had it. We overcame it. And then the left and the race hucksters, because they had nothing to complain about or make their living upon, and the lunatic left, they turned this country and tried to separate this country based on race. Quite astonishing. Quite sad. They will do anything. They will lie. In fact, everything they do is based on lies. Joe from Berwick, how are you, my man?
I'm doing well, Bob. Hey, I was thinking of something here. We have protests down here in Bloomsburg, quite regularly now at our fountain, and it's, anti-Trump protests.
By the way, I meant to ask you, is the college closed? What's happening there at Bloomsburg?
No, Bloom College isn't closed.
Is it closing?
They had to downsize a lot. Because they're part of what they call Commonwealth University now.
It was a great school.
And they had to really restructure and downsize a lot of what they were doing.
Okay.
And they just lost their university head because of all kind of scandal. He was being sued by one of the former staffers who accused him.
All right, we don't need to get that deep into it. Go back to your point. That was just a point of curiosity for me.
Yep. So the thing is, they have these little protests here at the fountain. I say, okay, God love you if that's how you want to use your time. And they've never been violent, but I they'll probably have one this Saturday in conjunction with everything else, and they call it the No Kings Movement.
Yeah.
And I might be in that area, and I might just stop by and approach them and say, hey, I'd like to ask you a question. With all due respect for what you're doing now and whatnot, where were you folks like 2-3 years ago when we literally had people acting like kings, making up rules out of nowhere, taking away freedoms they had no right to take under false auspices of keeping us safe, based on not even based upon science or real medical.
Well, they were the people that insisted you get the vaccine.
Yeah.
There was total domination. By the way, and the same people who say it's a woman's body.
Yeah.
But it's not yours when it comes to what I want. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking of stopping and asking them that and seeing what the response is. Now, the only thing I do have to say is hopefully there's something that doesn't set them off. I have to maybe get you a picture of it. I have this sticker on the side of my truck, and it says, "Love is love," and I love DJT, and it has the outline of the Trumpster's head there.
That's cute.
Yeah.
You know what? The only thing you could really have for people that are protesting this Saturday is sympathy. They don't know what they're doing. They don't understand any of the issues they are complaining about, and they're being used. I just have sympathy for them. I truly do.
Well, like I said, if it happens, maybe I'll let you know what the response is. If I'm able to talk to them.
Sure.
Yep.
All right,
okay.
my friend. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean it. I don't have anything but sympathy for them. Let's go back to this Scranton City Council, because a number of you have texted on this. one of the listeners says Bob Bolus gave a Jewish flag and a POW flag to city council some months ago. And after a period of time not seeing the flags, he asked why they were not being flown and was told the goofy mayor said they could cause a problem. Well, what about the pride flag causing a problem? Yeah. Don't expect sense out of the three blind mice. You just don't expect any sense on them. My disappointment, I don't know Smurl. I don't know the doctor. I know Bill King forever. I'm just profoundly disappointed. I don't understand it. He'll give these anti-Trump speeches at a Scranton City Council meeting. How about paving the streets, Bill? How about getting the pool built at Naog for kids who can't afford pools? How about we do that? How about we do our jobs instead of bloviate about stuff you have no clue about? None. Zero. Unbelievable. I remember asking him, he pretended he was like a check and balance on the mayor. He just votes with everything. Every consultant, every waste of money abides by her complete incompetence. Quite amazing. But anyway, so there's the genesis of the problem that he gave the Jewish flag and the POW flag to city council. I thought maybe it was Ukrainian flag, but whatever. I don't see any harm in flying the pride flag. I just don't see any harm in it. I don't see any problem with it. I know this. If I was gay, I would not want to be lumped in with all of this nonsense and all these left-wing lunatic people. I just wouldn't, because they're literally the same people. And someone else texted him on that issue that Bob Bolus used the word queer. Well, that's what the Q is in LGBTQ. So now you can't use the word, only they could use the word. I don't understand. By the way, and I don't know what it is. I have no idea what it is. That was a derogatory term for gay people back in the 60s and 70s. Well, now you use it? Doesn't make any sense. Well, they don't make any sense. They truly don't. And they do not represent lesbians, gays. I don't know what the other is. It transsexuals? I don't know. Bisexuals, transsexuals, queers. That's LGBTQ, and then they have all these pluses on because they ran out of letters, I guess, or figured we might not remember them, which we probably wouldn't. Yeah, crazy stuff. All right, let's go to the news. Bob Cordaro, the eponymous program. We will roll on. Let's have Brian Hughes tell us what's happening. Then we'll come back. Great good morning, everyone. 11:09 a.m. here in the great Northeast this beautiful Thursday, June 12, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show, and I am he. And it is a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and his fine restaurants, Basiliga Hospitality Group, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today. Like Raymond McGilligot, affectionately known as Rainbow, Hanover Township. Dale Henry, Taylor. John Lockman, Sawyersville. Joseph Casero, late of Stroudsburg, but he was from Carbondale. Robert Leventhal, born Carbondale. Lake Sheridan. Chuck Jolene, Berwick. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. Mr. Paul points out what we've been talking about since the open of the show. President Trump's military parade through Washington, D.C., there's no mention of why he's having it. Like the 250th anniversary of the Army, 250th anniversary of the Marines. Oh, no, it's no kings. You asses that are going to protest tomorrow on the 250th anniversary of two incredible branches of our armed services. Shame. Shame on you for being so stupid, number one. And those who are leading it, shame on you for being liars. You're lying about why you're even doing it. Unbelievable. Like, why don't you just, seriously, they should just say, by the way, Governor Tim Walz, Governor Jay Pritzker, all of these complete fools are down at Walz Hochul. Oh, Kathy Hochul. Oh, my God, the New York governor. You could not put more stupidity, hypocrisy, and worse liars together if you did a national talent search than the House Oversight Committee has done today. Remarkable. Tim Walz, he could be the dumbest man alive. He really could be. Yeah, the white male code talker. Seriously, you can't make up the level and disgrace of these people. You just can't. I don't know. When I think about these fools and these idiots, there's just no kind words to be had. I'm sorry, Mom. She's probably upset I'm using those words. Please tell me what else to call them. And we'll roll with that. If I can. Miscreants. How about that? It just doesn't have the same oomph, though. You know what I mean? Not quite. Like when you call Walz an idiot, it really captures his essence. I don't know. Now, somebody said, and this is okay, a potentially valid point. The money would definitely be better spent on actual veterans rather than on a parade. Well, can't have a national celebration for the 250th anniversary of two branches of our armed services? That's not worth a little bit of money? I don't get it. By the way, if we didn't have the illegals in this country, we'd be gushing with money. Gushing. So it's what is, guys. It's tough stuff. Now, yesterday, I missed the Mother Teresa, St. Teresa. And Mary Regina is nothing if not persistent. And I said, I will read 2 today. And June 11th, St. Teresa. She said, people often ask me, you work to bring about peace. Why don't you work to lessen war? Mother Teresa says, if we work for peace, there will be fewer wars. But I won't mix our work with politics. War is the fruit of politics. And so I don't involve myself. That's all. If I get stuck in politics, I will stop loving because I will have to stand by one and not by all. Okay. Isn't that great? That's really hits the nail on the head for her life of service. Now, St. Teresa for June 12th. She says to students, I pray that all those young people who have graduated do not carry just a piece of paper with them, but that they carry with them love, peace, and joy. That they become the sunshine of God's love to our people, the hope of eternal happiness, and the burning flame of love wherever they go. That they become carriers of God's love. That they are able to give what they have received, for they have received not to keep, but to share. Now, there's a message for students. And I would add, in my own way, don't protest for Hamas. Can we expect that, at least that level of sense out of you? Navy guy pointing out, Bob, the Navy turns 250 this year as well, and the bash is in its birthplace, Philadelphia. Nice. And I think we should celebrate. These are incredible institutions. They haven't just saved us, they've saved the world. It's remarkable what the Army, the Navy, the Marines, my God. Unbelievable. Somebody says communist is what you call them. I don't think that's harsh enough of a word. Walz is clearly a communist. He's that stupid. He loves Red China. Remember saying he was in Tiananmen Square? I mean, man, what a weirdo. And Governor Pritzker, he inherited billions of dollars, and he started on third base with a big lead towards home, and he thinks he's smart. Frightening. These are frightening people. And by the way, he doesn't care. None of these 3 governors care about the people that actually live there that have elected them. Now, shame on them for electing them, but should the entire state suffer under the yoke of these idiots? I don't think so. I don't think that's right. I don't think it's fair. Let's go to Sarah from Scranton. Sarah, how are you?
I'm doing well, Bob. How are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you.
I can hear your exasperation.
Yes.
I agree with so much of what you're saying. Our armed forces deserve every credit and every honor we could possibly give to them.
Amen.
They're a wonderful bunch. I wanted to speak about all these folks in America who are so restless and so unhappy. And I'm going to put it simply because I'm a simple person. These folks are acting like spoiled brats because they lost the election.
Yeah, exactly. And Sarah, did you see there was one of these two of these idiots protesting, and this woman said, "I've got to get to work. I've got to feed my kids."
Yes.
And he said, "Oh, you got a job?" I mean, I'm telling you, these are not good people. They're not good people.
You're right. They're not good. They're violent. They're not thinking of the good of anybody else, and they're probably not even thinking of their own good. They're just expressing all the time, kicking and screaming because the world is not pleasing to them.
Scary. It's a scary thought. You know what, though, Sarah? I've come to the point. I mean, I will decry them every day, but in the end, person to person, I just have sympathy for them.
I know it. And we have to remember that and they were created by God, and if they would remember that and pay God some thanks and some whatever, they'd have joy in their lives. They don't have to be like this. They can be God lovers, and God will definitely bless them.
Well, Sarah, if you look, and if this entire thousands and thousands of people listening right now would look, see if there's any mention of God in the entire protest weekend.
Yeah, probably none. I've just finished a book that talks about the fact that Jesus is coming again soon. And all of those who have despised him and not obeyed God are going to be in a world of hurt for the rest of their lives and deaths. It's going to be very bad for them. I wish they'd wake up and start paying attention to more reality, which is, God made, God loves, God wants.
What a great way to end the phone call. Thank you,
Oh,
Sarah.
I wish.
I appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Bob.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Have a great
Bye.
weekend. Sarah from Scranton. We'll take a break. We'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. The honeycone. Murph found this baby, this gem, June 12, 1971. It was the number one hit. This Woman Scorned. And before that, of course, the great Ronald Reagan, 1987, this date, calling out Mikhail Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Just, man, iconic. He was great. He was great. Now, with Donald Trump, and I love him, and I think he's funny. I think he's one of the funniest comedians there is. And I think his policies for the times, his courage in the face of the times have been remarkable, even better than Reagan. But I'll get angry at Trump sometimes. I never got angry at Ronald Reagan. I never said, oh boy, why did he do that? But, well, no, I did. I want to take that back, actually. He never actually cut spending. And I thought he really needed to. So, all right, I'll take it back. But, yeah, you got to love Ronald Reagan. You got to love Donald Trump. You have to. I mean, come on. You have to love what he's doing, even if you don't love Donald Trump, even if you hate him. Somebody said, Bob, watch the left-wing channels after the parade for the military. They'll be saying it's Trump's Hitler parade or something super stupid. Yeah, you're right. Someone else regarding the left, Bob, take no sympathy on them. They are the enemy. And another says, Bob, I have the perfect name. They are the Demcong party. Covers it all. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, the Demcong party. So awful. Another, these misbehaving spoiled brats need to be slapped down and disciplined. That's how you handle them. I said it earlier. I would have no problem. That guy that was breaking up the sidewalks to create projectiles to throw at police and cop cars, I would love to have his hand broken. That's what his punishment would be. His hands broken with a sledgehammer. Like they did on Casino. Really? I'm sorry. That's just desserts. It truly is. Somebody said, everyone should start reading all the labels and ingredients in the things they use. Starting with the toothpaste you put in your mouth 2 to 3 times a day. Do they really need saccharin in there? There's saccharin in toothpaste? Our listener continues, it causes cancer. Many harmful chemicals have several names for the same toxic ingredient. Let's stop buying the bad stuff, and if they want to make money, let them make it safe. Otherwise, use baking soda. Okay, so a little protest on our... I'm going to look. I thank you for that. I'm going to look, because I'm not going to wait for RFK, although I love him and he's doing a great job. I'm not going to wait for RFK for this one. I'm going to look myself when I go home. Because I have the honey in my teeth, so one of the first things I do after the dog does his business is brush my teeth. And I'll take a look at whatever we have. Yeah, Art W. says, I can't believe we have to raise our kids in this dumbass society. Well, it isn't their society. We just let them run with it. Now, remember what they control. They control academia. They control many of our foundations, which started off like the Ford Foundation. You can name them. They started off with great intentions and been perverted horribly. Then, the media. And then leadership of the public unions. And they all work together to destroy the country for their own benefit. But it is a small minority. And they get the people who are getting money out of the government, getting benefits out of the government, and try to convince them that the other side's going to take their benefits away, and that's the coalition to get their 51%. Or 50.1, whatever it happens to be. And that's we have a duty It is sacred. Save the country by voting common sense, voting out those who are nonsensical, and convincing as many people as we can to do the same. We don't have to go like our military and face the threat of death and go through all kinds of hardships on our behalf. We've got an easy job. Let's just make sure we do it. Let's hear from our great sponsors now. And then we'll have the Veterans Tribute. And one more look at the weather. And then you at 570-883-0098. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by John Basiliga and one of his great companies we're focusing on today, Basiliga Hospitality. They run the Old Brook Inn, the Far Street Tavern, the Scranton Art House, the Terra 519, Sergei's, the Stegmeyer Mansion, and the Queen City Tavern. All amazing in their own way and set up for whatever your budget is. From splurge to, I'm a little light this week. You can enjoy it at Basiliga Hospitality. Robert Leventhal. His family says it is with heavy hearts, but also a sense of peace. We announced the passing of Robert William Leventhal. He died at home April 26th. He was 87. Bill was born in Carbondale. He married Sally Nichols back in 1961 and was a devoted father to 5 children. After graduating from high school, Bill enlisted in the U.S. Air Force and served us in Korea. He later settled in Windsor, New York as a lab technician and chemist for Crowley's. In 1971, he relocated with his youngest children to the Nichols homestead on Lake Sheridan. He then took a position with Procter & Gamble, that great plant up in Mahoopany. He became a leading expert in wood pulp identification and paper making. Following retirement, Bill enjoyed running a Christmas tree farm, fishing, hunting, and watching his fillies. He's survived by 5 children, 8 grandchildren, 3 sisters, and many other family members. Sadly, he was preceded in death by his loving wife, Sally, of 48 years. Robert Leventhal. Charles Chuck Jolene, Navy veteran, loved to sing and play the guitar. Chuck Jolene was 87 when we lost him February 2nd. He was from Berwick. He worked for TRW Danville before going to Champion Valley Farms, where he was employed for 35 years. Member of the Shiloh Bible Church, Almedia. He served in the National Guard before enlisting in the U.S. Navy from 1958 to 1962. Member of the American Legion Post, the great American Legion Post in Bloomsburg. In addition to his wife, Judy, he's survived by a son, stepdaughters, grandchildren, 3 great-grandchildren, and other family members. Chuck Jolene. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by our friend, John Basiliga, and the Basiliga Hospitality Group. Well, that noise means, it's not a noise, it's a sounder. It means Storm Tracker 16 forecast from our friend, meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, partly to mostly sunny, 85. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 57. Friday, partly sunny with a chance of showers, high 82. Saturday, clouds and breaks of sun with a chance of showers, 75. Sunday, Father's Day, clouds and breaks of sun with a chance of showers, 75 again. So not a bad weekend. We're going to have some rain. Yeah, a veteran and friend of mine passed away, Tommy Carlucci, or as his brother Leonard would say, Carlucci. Yeah, great Dunmorian, great guy. Tommy Carlucci passed away. Good family, too. Good people. Sad to hear about that. And thank you to my man, Mayor Tony Amico, for passing that along to me so I wouldn't forget. Somebody says, Bob, you think that's bad, meaning the toothpaste? The tablets you can buy over the counter. Now, oh, they're bad? Okay. You got to start looking. You really do. Somebody says, Reagan was also the guy that started the unconstitutional anti-gun reform in 86. And he was a major cheerleader behind Clinton's assault weapons ban. Ronald Reagan? You'll have to show that to me. And I may even take some time and look it up. Somebody said, no, Bob, he should go to a quarry, meaning that guy, the clown who was breaking the gutters to make weapons against the police. He should go to a quarry if you like smashing rocks so much. Brian from Shavertown. Yeah, but sentence him to that. Well, I'd break his hands first. Smash his hands first, then make him go smash rocks at a quarry. All right? We'll do it that way. We'll get him both ways. Somebody says, download the Yuka app. Y-U-K-A. It scans products, analyzes the chemicals, and gives it a rating. It's truly an educational tool. Yuka. Y-U-K-A. Huh. Neat. Yeah, that is neat. Mr. Paul texts in. He says, the U.S. Army and the Marines and the Navy are the reason this country exists. Remember the Revolutionary War, you lunatics. That's what they are. I mean, Such a combination of evil and stupidity. It's remarkable. It really is. You think about what they're protesting. And by the way, it's all under the auspices of the Democrat Party, all with the support of the Democrat Party. Please remember that. Let's go to Ken in Wilkes-Barre on the riots. How are you, Ken? Ken, you there, my man? Ken, are you there?
Yes.
See, I was persistent. I knew you'd come around.
Yeah, well, I had you on my speaker on my car, but the radio was on at the same time, so
that's
turned
okay.
off my
That's
car.
okay. We got you now, my man.
Well, I travel around. I'm in the HVAC business. When I'm ever in my car, I always love listening to you.
Thank you.
And all the different people you interview all the time.
And Ken, I love hanging around with you too, just so you know.
Well,
I mean it. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Right. So it just hit me the other day. I think I spoke to you before. My father and I, we were both in the Navy and things, and I'm from the Vietnam era. But I remember years ago when people had riots and things, because I was watching them shoot these rubber bullets at the rioters yesterday, and they're like 3 feet away. They don't even phase the people. They just keep coming and things. But I can remember, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think years ago they used to have fire trucks with hoses.
Yes.
Okay. And when the rioters were there, I remember seeing they'd pull up a tractor trailer and they would just knock everybody over. Okay, they may get a brush burn or anything, but they don't get hurt. They would zip tie them, throw them in, and there's 100 people in the tractor trailer and things like that. And then the riot, when you get it, and it dissipates pretty quick versus they're with their shields, they're walking around, and it's just like, I don't know if that's illegal now or whatever, but I'm just commenting. It just seems like they.
Well, I think the Southern racists. I think the Southern racists gave it a bad feel. It's not the public relations you want to be using, I guess. But you're right. I mean, there should be something that actually stops them.
Yeah, and it's a shame. And I have friends that are, policemen and state troopers and things. It's like being in a war zone. It's like being in Afghanistan or whatever. It's just like they taking their life in their hands every day. They go out into their cars, and these rioters, they don't care about anything.
Why do the cops?
Obviously, they're paid.
Ken, you are 100% right. Why do the cops have to risk their lives because of these idiots who are trying to block roadways and who are illegally conducting their protests?
Yeah, right. Like the one person, she couldn't get to work and things, or hey, you saved up for your honeymoon, you're on your way to the boat, for 2 hours you can't make it, and you missed your honeymoon. That you spent all the money because the cruise ship pulled away, or the plane took off to Hawaii or something. They should just get those people and somehow round them up. And I was just saying, I know the hoses work. I don't know what else you can do, but they're not using good force to control it. And that's kind of my comment. I don't know what the solution is, but I'm just throwing that out.
Well, Ken, my thought on it, and people maybe think I'm exaggerating what I believe. I think they should take people who are throwing cinder blocks and other projectiles at cops and cop cars. I think they should have their hands smashed with a sledgehammer. That'll be the punishment.
Yeah, like overseas, right? Cut your hand off or smash them or
I mean, but you'll still have the hand. You got to recover, but it's going to really hurt and remind you, maybe for the rest of your life, that you were an ass. Yeah.
Right. But you still got to get them though, and it seems like they're not rounding up enough of them. So, okay, I just hope this doesn't spread throughout all the other cities in the country, because all these paid protesters, it seems like it's going that way. And
they have enough money and enough resources, unfortunately. The left has enough money and resources. Yeah, we're going to have to endure it. We're going to have to endure it. Yep.
Right. Okay.
All right, Ken.
Great show. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, Ken. My pleasure.
Okay, thanks. All right, bye.
One more call, our friend Pat from West Wyoming. How are you, Pat?
Hi. Oh, pretty good, Bob. I just wanted to say, since this was not on local TV, and I think it's newsworthy, in Exeter, not too far from me, ICE arrested 4 illegals working there. They were arrested twice in 2022 at the border. They were also driving without a license. And ICE also leased a building in Wyoming. So I'm wondering what's going on here. And, of course, some stupid people, Democrats, they had a protest saying, they wanted the license of ICE for the building revoked because we don't want ICE here. You know, if you're not doing anything wrong, people, you need not to fear them. They're here to keep us safe.
And I mean, the thing that's left out, Pat, and intentionally so, is nobody says illegal immigrant anymore. Even Fox, they call them migrants. No, you're illegal, and you've got to leave the country. If you get in, if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, you're illegally in this country. Then you leave. That's it. I don't get what the problem is.
Yeah, the piece in the paper said ICE arrests 4 migrants, but I call them illegals.
Yeah, I mean that's what they are. And at least say and our papers are terrible, but at least say migrants who are in this country illegally. Say that much, and we'll get it.
So they're here.
Yeah, I know it. They're here is right.
Right.
Well, look at you let in 15 to 20 million people illegally. They're going to be everywhere. And they're not all bad. They're not all, but you can't separate all the wheat from the chaff among illegals, and they should not be here. That's it. It's that simple.
Right, and Trump's dealing with it very good. In fact, he made a phone call to Newsom before he even sent the National Guard, and Newsom chose not to do anything.
I know. Well,
just like Pelosi when Trump called her because of the insurrection getting out of control to send the National Guard, and she refused. So what do these Democrats like? Confusion and chaos?
They thrive in it. They believe they thrive in it because then common sense goes out the window, which means their policies can reign. It's that simple. They need chaos. They need to create it.
I see that, Bob.
Yep. Nuts.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Pat. Always a pleasure.
Bye.
All right. We'll take a break on the program. Hear from our great sponsors. We're going to find out what's happening in the markets. Bloomberg still astonished there's no inflation from Trump's tariffs. We'll take a break and do all that and then come back because there's more to talk about. Paul McCartney and Wings. Murph tells us this date, 1976. He had the number one hit with Silly Love Songs. We're going to finish up with one of my favorite songs of all time, Grand Funk Railroad, American Band, 1973. It was recorded this date. So that's what we'll finish up with. And, of course, the O.J. Simpson deal. Wow. Sad, sad, sad. Hey, Tommy P., he's on patrol in Dunmore. Apple Street is safe for another afternoon. Thank you, Tommy P. And my man PJ LaBelle, he said he was at the Greek Food Festival. He said it is outstanding. That's in downtown Scranton, North Washington Avenue. Long running tradition. The Greek Food Festival. Neat. Tom from Dallas says, Joe Biden let 13 million illegals into the country over 4 years. I would argue it's much more. Remember, don't forget the gotaways. And then the ones they don't know about. Anyway, the whole population of Pennsylvania. It's greater than the population. But just imagine that. The entire population of Pennsylvania and more. Crazy. Tom from Dallas says, how do you think this is a great way to set up a huge landslide loss in 28? I say if left to the sponsors these protests, go had it. I'm messing up a little here, Tom. I don't know what came through on the text, but I get your point. And remember, it's more insidious than that. They're going to get a lot of them to vote, like motor voter. You're automatically registered when you get a license, so give the illegals driver's licenses, and then they could vote. Now, let's say you do that. Let's say they can't vote, or they're afraid to vote, whatever. They're still counted in the census so that they don't lose their congressional districts and federal money based on left-wing Democrat incompetence. In all these crappy cities that they're ruining, yeah, they'll still have the same amount of congressmen. That's the purpose. All right. We've got two things we need to do. Well, no, it's Thursday. I always get that messed up. I think it's Friday. Good. We got another day this week. Thank God. So as we finish up with our gang, I will remind you, we've got the Sue Henry Show next, the Rob O'Donnell Show after that. Somebody said Grand Funk Railroad. I'm your captain. That's their favorite song. Awesome, they say. And by the way, somebody emailed me the Reagan information, and I'll be happy to read it. Thank you for that. Make it easy for me because I'm incredibly lazy. Thank you for that. Giles and Archibald checking in. Well, guys, I enjoyed being with you today. I truly did. I always do. I'm thinking about which Basilica place I'm going for this weekend. I'm not going out tonight. I was out last night at Atera. That's good. A couple of graduation parties this weekend. So, no matter what, I'll be back. Well, not no matter what. I'll be back, God willing, tomorrow morning at 9. But for now, we've got to gavel to a close this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. Guys, you have a great afternoon. We are adjourned.